Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to start a new episode of Show and Tell. First thing we got here, we've been to an auction and it was an old lumberyard in Cannington, Ontario that had closed up. And Deb got this thing. So what it is, obviously this is not in the box, but what we're going to do, it's got plans and it's got the brackets and all the hardware to build 1, 2, or 3. You choose. So this is going to be for Cooper and Nugget when we're a future project is building them a little yard behind the shop here. So we're going to get this fixed up. We're going to change it around a little bit, but it'll be a fun. They like stuff like this, so we'll build that up for them. And we got this for cheap, right? It was I don't know, $20 or something. Anyway, that's that. And we got this. Isn't this outstanding? We got this whole tote full of brown downspout connectors for $3. All I really want is the tote. Anybody need any brown downspout connectors? I've got about 100 of them. And in here we've got a bunch of brand new aluminum storm doors. We'll show these to you in later videos because I need to put one on my garage. The one over there on the house is shot. And every time I try talking, a dump truck comes. And then we've got a couple of extras for future stuff. And here is one of the storm doors attached to our house. That's why I bought them, because this storm door was on. It had 1 foot in the grave. And it finally failed. The hinge blew apart in it, so we hung that one up there. Isn't it nice? I think we got it for somewhere between $40 and $50 for that individual door, and the price tag on it was $459, and that was 2016 dollars. Here's a Dodge Caliber full of junk we got at the auction. Let's see what we got. So here's our loot. This all came from an old mechanic shop. That was, I guess it closed down or whatever, and they were auctioning everything off. There was piles of tools and stuff, but the bidders came to play, so we didn't get too much. Plus, I'm a cheapskate. So we got this here chair that is pretty gross, even by my standards. That'll just go straight in the scrap metal. But it came with this stool, which is what I wanted. I got the chair and the stool for $2. So this is handy. I like this stool because it opens and all you have to do to close it is pick it up. That's good. We got a pair of exhaust hoses. This is so good to have in your shop. So like in the wintertime, whatever, if I have to run a car in there, I can run it without gassing myself, you know. I got 2 of them for I think $25. I've been looking for a couple of these for ages. I got all these Canadian Tire ratchets. Unfortunately, they're all broken. But, because they're Canadian Tire ratchets, you just take them to Canadian Tire and they'll warranty them and give you a new one. I got this old pair of Snap-on little... This is an ohm meter, and this is a tactile meter. I just like these old instruments. They're so cool. I got this. We got some plastic fuel line, 1/4 3/8, and we got this box. This was all one lot. I got it for a couple of bucks. A bunch of brand new 5/8 heater hose. I think that's some 3/4 heater hose. And I got this pair of tires for $2 because they're the same size as the ones on these, and I could tell that they almost new, but these calibers, the back suspension goes wonky on them. And I'm pretty sure these have spent some time on the back of a caliber with wonky suspension because there's some strange wear on them. But it doesn't matter. For $2, we'll find something to do with them. Here's our loot from the Lindsay Tractor Show. I picked up this Fairbanks Morse Magneto. We've got the Ford Warhorse 2N. And it runs on a Fairbanks Morse Magneto. I looked up the number. This one is a replacement, like an over-the-counter replacement for a Farmall tractor. It's seized up. You can see the weather's been at it. But, you know, maybe if we need a part or something from the inside of it, we could probably get away with stuff from this. And on top of that, my old Fordson tractor, I have to see if this has got the 2-to-1 gear set in it. I may be able to put this on the old Fordson and get rid of the distributor that we made for it. Anyway, we'll figure that out. I also got this really cool 100-foot tape measure. I kind of like that. I got an Oliver coffee cup. That's a cool thing. And I got these. These were made for a very short while and then they disappeared. They're really, really hard to find now. These are reproductions of the original 1028 closed tread tires that were installed on Ford 9Ns starting in 1940. In 1939, you could only get the 9x32 tires. But starting in 1940, they offered the 1028s. And this is what you got. You got the closed tread, and they've got, it's really hard to see because of light. There you can see it. A Ford script molded into them. 4-ply 1028. Ford Motor Company, Dearborn, Michigan. These things are really, really cool. And they really set off your restoration. So we've got a 1949N that's really, really nice up in the barn. It's painted like an old Oliver right now. It's green with red wheels. But we're going to fix that. And all I got to do now is find a pair of 400 by 19 single rib Firestones for the front of it, and we'll be all set. The fella has been bringing these tires to that show for at least 10 years. And I keep walking past them every year going, oh man, I really like to have those. But, I mean, you have to be a pretty serious 9N restorer to go for these, you know. But hey, I took the plunge. I said, I want those. I want my 9N to be as close to perfect as I can get it. So we're very happy to have these. And hopefully one day I'll be able to show you the restoration of that one. We've been down to the Amazon auction in Scarborough again. And here's some stuff, mostly stuff that Deb got. She needed some hanging file folders. She got these for cheap. A set of sheets. Very, very important. Inconspicuous, I don't know what you call this crap. Window film for the bathroom, so when you're in your birthday suit, the neighbors can't see you. Mind you, there's nobody around here that could see her except rabbits and ducks. But anyway, whatever. She bought herself a nice little sweater. We got a drying rack. This screws to the wall and it extends out. This. Where will you see what this is? This is for picking up the dogs. You see? You put their 4 legs through it and you can lift them up. But I got to lift Nugget up with the engine crane so we can do his toes. That should be exciting. And Deb got this picture frame. This crap comes off. It's just protective coating. Oh. And I got this whole case of shop towels. These are really cheesy ones, but they're excellent for like when you're doing a brake job or screwing around with bearings and there's great big gobs of grease and really icky stuff. These are literally use them once and chuck them. We got a case of 12 rolls for cheap. As usual at the Amazon auction, he had a whole bunch of stuff out in the free bins out in the foyer. So here's all the stuff we grabbed. Like this great big impeller. I don't know what that's for. This is some kind of control cable for something. I got a seal. I got a couple of sensors. I got this one, and there's a crankshaft sensor for something here. We got a TV mount, some gaskets, whatever this is. A brand new telephone. This thing here, brand new. It's a cable-operated dump valve for an RV. I got some kind of muffler for a small engine. I got a couple of shock absorbers. This is a front one for a mid-90s Bronco. I don't know. What do you do with one of them? And this one is a rear for a Buick LaCrosse. And look at this. A brand new brake booster for I looked it up, 2011 to 2014 Ford Edge. But it's a brake booster. You could use this on anything, right? So anyway, I always love their free stuff. I get more stuff from the free stuff than we do actually at the auction. What a great place. Here's a good marketplace score. I saw this literally just hours after the fellow posted it. It's a big Ford rear end, apparently out of a '68 Thunderbird. And what we see about it right away, you see the two ribs, but they're far apart. So we know this is a 9 3/8, not a 9-inch. The other giveaway is the huge pinion cage on this thing. We've covered this before, and in future, I hope to do a video all about Ford rear ends because there's a lot of interesting stuff. Anyway, so we knew it's a 9 3/8, so we knew this came from a big car, and the fellow confirmed it came from a Q code. That's a 428/68 Thunderbird. He told me it is a 300 gear with a track lock in it, and we agreed upon a good price. So I took the 2-hour drive across Toronto to Cambridge in rush hour to get it. So these things are cool because they've got the big axle bearing, 31 spline. They're a really nice differential. So what I did was, before I left, I consulted my Ford interchange manual. Thanks to Nick at the Real Guy Garage for donating that to us. And made sure that, yes, in fact, the T-Bird in that era, 68, used the same axle housing, the same axles. Everything is the same as our Galaxy. So I knew that this baby would be a bolt-in. So I went over there, I checked it. All I did at first was just turn one drum and make sure the other drum turned the same way. So we know that it does in fact have a track lock. I gave him the money, I left. So what we're going to do now is check the gear and see if it really is a 300. Because unfortunately the tag, which should be under this stud here, is long gone. So we're going to do some counting. We're going to mark this here. And we're going to mark the top of one of these drums. And because it's a track lock, it's easy. We should turn the pinion 3 times, and that mark come exactly right back up to the top. So let's see what we get. There's 1. Looking good so far. It went about 1/3 of the way around. There's 2. There's 3. And you can see our mark came exactly right back up to the top. So it is in fact 300 gear. So now, if you remember last summer, we pulled the engine and transmission out of the 67 LTD, the Z code Hypo Motor and C6 for Landshark, but somebody had already taken the rear end out of the car, and I was kind of upset because I read the code on the door, and it was a 300 equal lock because it was 67, right? Equal lock up to 67 and from 68 up track lock. And yeah, I was kind of disappointed that I missed that. But in the end, I just had to wait 1 year, and here it is. The rear end in that car would have been a 9-inch, not a 9 3/8, but 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That one would have only been a 28 spline. We've got 31 spline stuff now. So that opens you up to a lot of possibilities because you'll find a lot of track lock center sections come out of trucks, and they're all 31 spline. So if you've got the 31 spline axles already, you can shove one of these in your car. 31 spline axles for cars aren't quite that easy to find. This is just a little bit of an anomaly. I got another set, if you remember last summer, we got a set of 31 spline axles out of a Lincoln Mark III, which was the same rear end of this. Anyway, very happy with our purchase, and can't wait to get this underneath the back of Landshark and see how it works. You may recall previously we got these out of the free junk bin at the auction. Well, look what we got today at the auction for just a couple of bucks. You can't make this stuff up. It's beautiful. Well, we've been to the auction again. I bought these on a whim because they were going by with a bid of $2 on them, so I got them for $3. It's a set of aluminum 18-inch F-150, aftermarket custom wheels. So we'll figure out what to do with them. We don't exactly have a late model F-150 around here, so We'll rehome them, or worst case scenario, I'll just pull the tires off and take them to the scales. They're pretty, you know, they're cheap wheels, right? So the finish is all starting to peel off them. You can see here. I mean, they've been used for winter. You can see it's got Bridgestone Blizzak tires. Those are winter tires. And so they've been out in the salt and had a pretty rough go. Got a couple of rolls of this flexible PCV pipe. This stuff is good for running stuff underground or whatever, you know. I always keep some of it around, and when I see rolls of it like this at the auction for cheap, I grab them. Got a plastic barrel. I needed one the other day and I didn't have one. So, well, now I've got one. And we got these stair railings for $2. Yes, they're used. Yes, you know, they're old, but I think I have a use for them. I just have to do some measuring. And here's a cool thing we got at that same auction. It just said, it only had one crappy picture of it laying on its side, and it just said Ford engine. That's all it said. So I could kind of tell by the one valve cover, I could see that it was some kind of a Windsor engine, you know. And I could see that it had an AOD transmission on the back of it. So I said, hey, hard to lose with that, right? So yes, it's been sitting outside. Yes, it's probably seized tight as a drum, but you know, it is what it is. It's the AOD transmission. People are always looking for those. I've kind of been looking for one to have kicking around. And there's, you know, if you can get a starter and an alternator and a few goodies off it, you know, it's worth it. I got it for $47, right? And allegedly, apparently, according to the guy who was there, this motor was done. It's 30 over. It's got a crank in it. You know, blah, blah, blah. Whether it does or not, I couldn't tell you. But I guess we can at least grab a bar and see if it turns. We can tell by the narrow intake manifold and the small exhaust manifolds. This is a 302, not a 351. There is an oddball outside chance it could be a very undesirable 255, but we're going to put that out of our minds. I don't think there was ever such a thing as a 255 with an AOD on it, but you know, anything's possible when people start mixing and matching their junk, right? You could tell it was in a truck because it's got the rear sump truck pan on it, which would again rule it out of being a 255, you know, you'd figure. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. We'll put a bar on it. Like I said, this thing was sitting outside for years, so I'm not holding out much hope that it'll turn, but you never know. Oh yeah, solid as a rock. So this guy was so happy. He bought a truck to pull this thing out of because it was a rebuilt motor. And then they left it outside with an orange tarp over it, and over time the tarp degraded and the engine just started getting filled with water. Mostly because you could see there the exhaust manifolds were left open. They taped up the carburetor, but they left the exhaust manifolds open. So that let the atmosphere get in there, and eventually it'll seize them up. So it's not hopeless. There is a chance we could get it on a stand, pull the heads off, and start soaking it down and working it back and forth. And maybe at some point we could get it to break free. I might do that another day, but not today. Well, my guess is we'll probably be putting a fork in this one. This engine was laid over. It was laid over on this side. Not right over, but over. This one here, this would be number 135, or Ford's numbered 1, 2, 3. I can't remember. But this one back, when I took the plug out, a whole bunch of water came out. That's bad. When I took that one out, a whole bunch of oil came out. And on this side here, the side that was up, you can see the first plug. It was only in by about one thread. And you can see how there's rust all the way down the thread. That means water was getting in past this plug. The second one back, kind of the same, but not so bad. And then the back two were okay. I'm going to try and blow the water out of this cylinder. You think that could be a problem? I don't know. And then this one's full of oil. Oh no, it's full of water too. Oily water. Here's today's adventure. We got a U-Haul truck. What in the world do we need a U-Haul truck for? What the heck did we get now? Haha! Let's see. We got a new to us living room set because our old stuff was getting pretty ratty. And this stuff popped up at the auction and we got it for pretty cheap. So these are actually the same tables we had years ago. They're from Leon's. We liked them. They just didn't fit in with our new, our last new to us living room set when we got it. So they went. But now we've got them again and they'll go nice with this stuff. And this stuff will kind of, our original leather stuff was dark brown, but this stuff is like a mocha or something. It'll fit in nice. And there it is installed. All I've got to do is, because this couch is it's a little more chunkier than the old couch, so we had to slide it this way a little bit. I'll have to recenter our picture there. But that's about it, aside from that. See, it really goes nice. Goes nice in the room. We really like it. We got a bunch of stuff at the auction today. Starting with this little scraper blade. It's a 6-foot light duty. You can see, you know, the back of it. It's pretty light. I can actually pick the thing up. It doesn't weigh anything at all. As opposed to this one here, which is kind of a heavy duty blade. It's also a 6-footer, but I mean, you can see the difference in how they're built. But that's okay. You know, we got lots of ways around here we can use stuff like this. So it's all good. And here's a couple of metal dollies. This one's pretty heavy, and it looks like you can tow it. I'm not sure what it was being used for, but it's about, I don't know, it's about 30 inches by 4 feet. And then this one here, they actually sell these at Princess Auto. They're for sitting engines on. So you've got these two posts here. You loosen the lock bolts, and you can slide them in and out, or whichever way you got to, and you can sit an engine on it. Handy thing to have. I've always wondered if they were a decent thing to have, but never wanted to pay full price for one, right? Well, now we got one for cheap at the auction. So here's some more. This all came as one lot. I was mostly just interested in this set of gauges because I use those on the old tractors, right? Sometimes you can fit all three. Sometimes you can only use two or whatever. Doesn't matter. We've got them. That's the main thing. Also got a starter button. And this is a bilge pump installation kit for a boat. Don't ask me what I'll do with that. Probably send it back. And an oil filter. We'll have to figure out what thread that is. I might be able to use it around here. We got this. A pretty near brand new auto gauge 8,000 RPM tachometer. These are nice and probably worth a lot more than the $17 that I paid for it. It's kind of an old school as it only goes up to 8,000 RPM, right? A lot of the newer ones go to 10 and beyond, and they just look stupid in an old car that doesn't have that kind of RPM potential, right? I got a couple of half rolls of fuel line. I got 5/16 and I got 3/8. That's good. Always looking for that stuff around here. And then I got this. This is one of those markers, you know, you put the upside down spray paint in it, and you go along and you can lay out lines on the ground. We've got a job coming up where I'm going to need this, but I mean, the cheapest I could find one of these things was over $50 on Amazon. So I got this for 20 bucks, and it came with a box of little tiny adjustable wrenches, like literally a whole box of them. So I'll just throw one in every tractor. Here's last load of auction stuff before we wrap this one up. Deb got this stuff. This was one lot. She was interested in this. See, it's for moving furniture, so you can you use this little thing. You lift up, and you put these under the legs, and you're good to go. It's exactly what we need for our couch and love seat. And it came with this canning stuff. I know who we'll give that to. A second lot of stuff she got was called gardening stuff, and she got some gardening stuff and some neat old tools, some Craftsman screwdrivers, a Mastercraft little nail puller, not bad. And she got this, needs a little work, but we'll fix it up, for our second picnic table, because for years we've been using one that I made out of a wheel from a car, and that's not acceptable. And the last thing we got was a load of buckets, and I'm mostly what I'm going to do. I've got so many apple trees around here, and the neighbors all come over to get apples for their cows and horses and stuff, so we'll just keep these buckets around. I'll drill some holes in the bottoms of them so they don't fill up with water, and we can just keep them around and use them for apples. And here is the greatest thing I have ever got at an auction, and I got it for $2. This is a 1970 Flamborough Speedway Pictorial. All the racetracks will put one of these out every year. NASCAR put one out. It was the annual Pictorial, and this is just too cool. Like, and this is before my I was 3 years old in 1970, but I know the numbers and the cars, right? Because later in the 70s, when I started going to watch the racing with my dad, I would see these guys, right? This here, 89, that's Terry Kitchen. Number 13, Earl Ross. Look at him, from Ailsa Craig, Ontario, the only Canadian ever to win a cup race. Mark that down. And 82, Jack Cook. Here you got Howie's Scooter Scannell, and everybody's favorite, Daytona Don Biederman. This, the name is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't come up with it, right? On the back cover here, you got, this was their big, huge invitational race. And it must have been paying some money, because look who they attracted. The Bluebird, Bob Seneker. He did end up winning the race. There's Biederman beside him on the front row. Yeah, there's Biederman and Seneker having a chat before the race. Just too cool. This is absolutely amazing. See, it's got all pictures inside it. There's Biederman there. Bruce Van Dyke. George Pringle. Charlie Greenlaw. I remember a Bruce Greenlaw? I do remember a Greenlaw racing stock cars around Southern Ontario, but not Charlie. So probably, you know, son, younger brother, something like that. There's Cook. Jim Thring. There's still Thrings around. There's Thrings around racing still to this day. Probably related. This is just amazing. There's Kitchen. Oh, look, 3 different guys driving the same numbered car, right? Yeah. Kenny Reimer, man, I remember Reimer. He was one of the last guys with a big block. And I'm talking in the late 70s, right? And if he managed to put on a set of tires that night, let me tell you, he could really move. Yeah, Reimer. Wow. Absolutely the best thing I've ever got. That'll do it for this one. That was a pretty good show and tell video, I think. I've been working on this one since June. It's we're just into August now, and I'm not sure when you'll see this. I'll fit it into the queue somewhere along the line. We're just getting ready here to, it's a little gloomy today. We've got the remnants of Hurricane Debbie going to hit us later this afternoon and overnight. I've been dealing with Hurricane Debbie for almost 40 years, but that's a different kind of Hurricane Debbie. But anyway, after dealing with that, this is nothing. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Claremont Garage. As always, I would like to thank you for your continued support of our little channel. I hope you'll come back and see us again soon. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long for now.